Mrs. Hailey Taliber. Land of beauty, our country, where peace abounds, thy children stand on the strength of will and love, with God in all struggles, Saint Kitts and Nevis be a nation bound together with a common destiny. As stalwarts we stand for justice and liberty, with wisdom and truth. We will serve and honor thee. No sword nor spear conquer, for God will surely defend. His blessing shall forever to posterity extend.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you this day, thanking you so much for the privilege that you've afforded us to see a brand new day. We thank you for your blessings, your mercy, your grace upon our lives. And we come before you today acknowledging you as the giver of life, as the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. We thank you for this forum, this conference that has been planned for the purpose of university and dialogue to help us to address the issues that affect our society and our region. Dear Lord, I pray for your special blessings upon everything that will take place. We need your help and recognize that without you we can do nothing. I pray for each person who will present, for all of the discussion that will take place. I pray that you will guide our thoughts, our attitudes, our minds, and that everything that's done will be in accordance with your will. For we recognize that righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. Heavenly Father, I ask for your special blessings upon our ladies, our women. We thank you for their contribution to our society and for their continued value. I pray that you would bless them. I pray that you help us as a people collectively to value our ladies and what they contribute to all of us. I pray for our young people in particular as well. I pray that you would help us, as those who are older, to be examples to them so that we can guide them along the path so that they can have successful futures and bright futures for future generations to come as well. I thank you for all those who have worked and planned behind the scenes to make this day and these 2 days a reality. Thank you for the sponsorship that has been provided and all those who have availed resources for this time today. I ask for your continued blessings and your guidance. We need you in a special way, and we ask for your mercies and for your grace. Thank you once again for this time. And you will please everything.
Deputy Governor General of Nevis.
The Honorable Mark Bradley, Premier of Nevis, and Minister of Foreign Affairs in the Federal Government.
The Honorable Van Singler, Senior Minister in the Nevis Island Administration. The Honorable Senator Wendy Phipps, Minister of State with responsibility for health. The Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, Minister of Health and Gender Affairs in the Nevis Island Administration. The Honorable Alexis Jeffers, Minister of Agriculture, Housing, Land and Disaster. The Honorable Eric Evelyn, Minister of Social Development and Culture. The Honorable Spencer Brand, Minister with responsibility for Public Works, Physical Planning, Environment and Water. The Honorable Troy Liburd, Junior Minister of Education and Library Services. Dr. Tressanne Kramer, Advisor for the Caribbean and Head of Good Offices for Peace, Commonwealth Secretariat. Ms. Elizabeth Bakibanga Gaswaga, Legal Advisor, Commonwealth Secretariat. Other distinguished members of the Commonwealth team. CARICOM Youth Ambassadors. Esteemed regional and international presenters, facilitators, and delegates. Knowledgeable and experienced local delegates. Invited guests. Good morning. And welcome. Welcome to one and all. To the visiting experts and delegates, we are especially proud to welcome you to our beautiful island of Nevis. It is an honor to be hosting this high-level regional forum on women and youth participation in community dialogue, a South-South approach for peace and security in the Caribbean. My name is Joy Napier, and I will be your chairperson for today. At this moment, it gives me great pleasure to welcome to the fore the driving force behind this timely and critical forum, the Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, Minister of Health and Gender Affairs in the Nevis Island Administration. She will be delivering her welcome remarks. Please welcome her.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And with your permission, kindly allow me to adopt the protocol, the comprehensive protocol that you have just established. However, permit me also permit me to acknowledge the presence of Her Honor, Mrs. Hailita Liburd, and my colleagues at the head table. Permit me to start by saying how immensely delightful I am and gratifying it is for me as the current Minister of Gender and the immediate past Minister of Youth Development to be able to usher into being this very important stakeholder exercise on enhancing women and youth participation in the dialogue for peace and security. A pleasant good morning to everyone. Before I go further, let me welcome all visitors to our blissful Twin Island paradise of St. Kitts and Nevis. May your brief stay be enjoyable and enriching so that you can come again for a much longer and more valued and deserved vacation. I am particularly pleased that you, the participants in today's session, responded positively to the clarion call which was sounded. Indeed, your presence here today is a personal acknowledgement that our society and communities cannot meaningfully advance to the next stage of development unless our citizens are made to feel safe and secure in every facet of human life and are therefore able to exist in harmony with each other. However, I am sure that you all will agree with me that we still have quite a bit of work to do in this regard. Women and youth comprise a critical share of the population of the Commonwealth of Nations. In other parts of the world, women and youth are on the front lines, actively leading efforts to shape peace processes. In Rwanda, for example, we see how this was done to great effect to help heal a deeply wounded and divided country in the aftermath of that painful period of genocide. Indeed, women and young people can often serve as bridges connecting policy and decision makers with local actors at the grassroots level, especially in circumstances where the decision makers aren't always intimately in tune with what is happening in the underbelly of our various communities. Today, therefore, presents us with an opportunity to redefine our outlook and approach in addressing these issues. I must express my immense gratitude to the Commonwealth Secretariat, and in particular, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth for endorsing this initiative for St. Kitts and Nevis. Also to Dr. Tresson Kramer and her group for the critical support and guidance which has been provided in helping to steer this forum from the stage of conception to now fruition. We are also very grateful to our facilitators and all the regional organizations that have seen it fit to partner with us in this important exercise. I am hope that from this dialogue will spring forth opportunities for mutual learning and the collective identification of innovative ideas which will help us to build more peaceful and safer communities, where all our citizens, particularly our most vulnerable groups, can strive free, secure, and be successful. I look forward to a fruitful discussion over the next 2 days and hope that we would leave with concrete plans to implement a sustainable program for peace and security, not only in St. Kitts and Nevis, but in our respective countries. Once again, a pleasant welcome to all.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Minister for those thought-provoking remarks. to really set the context of this two-day forum. This forum would not be possible without the partnership and support of the Commonwealth. It is our great honor to call now to deliver remarks Dr. Tressan Kramer, Advisor, Caribbean, and Head of Good Offices for Peace, Commonwealth Secretariat. Please welcome her to the floor.
Thank you very much, Joy. Good morning, ministers, Governor General, Deputy Governor General, welcome. I'm pleased to see you here, and representatives of Commonwealth member countries. Thank you for coming and for sharing in this experience. My role here is to say very little. I think Minister Brandy Williams has said most. The Commonwealth Secretariat really is the arm that delivers the mandate that your countries give to us. And the last mandate given to us was in 2018 in London by heads of government, where your foreign minister, Premier of Nevis, played a very important role, as did your prime minister, the Honorable Timothy Harris, in giving us certain mandates as to what they expect from us. Community dialogue and enabling grassroots mechanisms for discourse is one of those. And in that regard, we recognize the role of women and youth. The Caribbean is particularly important to me. I'm Jamaican myself, and so I'm pleased to be shepherding this initiative with St. Kitts and Nevis as the pilot that could probably learn from other experiences that we have in the region. The Secretariat has partnered with your country to enable expertise from other countries such as Jamaica, Trinidad, Dominica, etc., to be here, and we hope that that will be valuable to you and your discussions in the coming days. That will be it from me, but I would like to introduce you to the remarks that the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland has prepared for your interest, and hopefully that will convey to you the commitment of the Commonwealth to assisting St. Kitts and Nevis and our member countries to really enabling grassroots mechanisms and sustainable ones that can assist our countries to look at issues such as gender-based violence and youth-driven crime.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to direct your attention to the screens, as we have a video link and remarks are going to be delivered by the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland, QC, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. We are indeed honoured to have her presence today.
It is a pleasure to address you as we engage in this important dialogue. I acknowledge with appreciation the participation of Prime Minister Harris, who is currently making such valuable contributions, both as chair of CARICOM and as a Commonwealth head of government. I also pay tribute to the Premier, Brantley of Nevis, the Foreign Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, for his contributions in the Caribbean region and to the Commonwealth. At the 2018 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in London, CHOGM, as it's more generally known, the leaders of our 53 member countries agreed that the Secretary-General's good officers for peace should support the establishment and strengthening of national peace and dialogue processes. Heads also recognised the role of young people in promoting peace and endorsed the principles and recommendations enshrined in UN Security Council Resolution 2250 on youth, peace and security. They urged equality and the rule of law, as well as youth empowerment, are critical factors in making progress on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and in realizing the aspirations of our Commonwealth Charter. Women and youth participation in community dialogue for peace and security is not just about promoting their engagement in existing formal peace-building channels. It is also about recognizing the informal structures where they have influenced and can make positive change. This initiative is also anchored in South-South principles of solidarity and the sharing of best practice. I hope that over the next 2 days, each and every one of you taking part in this forum will benefit from mutual learning. I encourage you collectively to seize this opportunity, to explore innovative ways of creating and maintaining spaces for community dialogue and of enabling restorative justice mechanisms that will help to build sustainable peace. In wishing you well for fruitful deliberations, I assure you of my heartfelt commitment and the continuing support of my good officers to the efforts of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Caribbean region.
Ladies and gentlemen, the tremendous value of St. Kitts and Nevis's partnership with the Commonwealth Secretariat as they support our efforts to establish and strengthen community dialogue, peace and security, and the engagement of women and youth cannot be underestimated. We are indeed grateful to them. Representing our nation at the recent Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, CHOGA, was our Honorable Premier and Minister for Foreign Affairs and Aviation in the federal government, the Honorable Mark Brantley. Please welcome him as he comes to the fore to deliver remarks.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me, Madam Chairperson, to adopt protocol, save, of course, to recognize our Deputy Governor General, Her Honor Hailita Liburd, our Senior Minister in the Federal Government, the Honorable Vance Emery, members, of course, of the head table, and members of the Nevis Island Cabinet who are all here. I say good morning to all of you and welcome. I am delighted that I have been invited to speak for just a brief moment at this very important gathering. And as I reflected on the words of our beloved Secretary General of the Commonwealth, I thought to myself that she is a woman, that our Deputy Governor General here today is a woman, that the head table has 4 women, that the Commonwealth has sent 4 women to help us, and that most of the audience constitutes women. So perhaps that's a good sign that we're off to something good here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Since the adoption of the Buenos Aires Plan of Action in 1978, which created a foundation and reference point for South-South cooperation, this approach has grown and expanded to include the sharing of knowledge, skills, expertise, and resources in all areas of development. Today, South-South cooperation highlights ways that developing countries are collaborating among themselves through solidarity, peer-to-peer learning, and collective self-reliance. South-South cooperation is not only an instrument of cooperation, it is also an expression of the aspirations of developing countries to strengthen the economic, social, and political interdependence to accelerate development. It is therefore based on the philosophy that no country is so rich that it cannot learn, and no country so poor that it cannot teach. This morning's workshop on women and youth in peace and security, building on a South-South approach, is both essential and urgent. the Nevis Island Administration, and the wider government of St. Kitts and Nevis are committed to taking a holistic approach to peace and security. In this regard, community dialogue is essential. Such dialogue affords a participatory process, which in turn enables meaningful conversations to deepen our collective understanding. Peace-building mechanisms, if encouraged in our local communities, can assist us to create a framework which can be of immense benefit to greater social cohesion, crime reduction, and an enhanced community spirit. It is critically important that we find ways to engage our young people, young men and women, who hold such a valuable and influential place in our society, to ensure an inclusive approach to peace and stability. At times, in our haste for economic development, politicians such as myself give an inordinate amount of attention to physical infrastructural development. Regrettably, with scarce financial resources, such attention often comes at the expense of the social infrastructure in the country. However, if we are to truly achieve the targets as set out in the UN Sustainable Development Goals, we must give the same level of support to our social infrastructure as we give to our physical infrastructure. We must give focused attention to our women and our youth. When we invest in and empower women, we are empowering our communities, our nation. Indeed, we are empowering our very humanity. Therefore, all of our investments must be designed for gender responsiveness. Women must be at the epicenter of all of our efforts if we are to succeed as a nation. When women are better represented in politics, we see improved social protection and gender consideration. When girls are better educated, they contribute more to their communities and are far less tolerant to abuse and violence against them. The empowerment, autonomy, and improvement of women's political and economic status should be high on the agenda of every country in the world. Sadly, in today's world, women continue to face threats to their lives, health, and well-being as a result of violence, being overburdened with work, and a lack of power, influence, and opportunity. In most areas of the globe, women and girls continue to be systematically excluded from achieving their fullest potential. They receive less formal education than men. They receive less pay, even when equally educated, and their knowledge and skills often go unrecognized and unappreciated. Achieving change requires policies and programs that will improve women's access to economic resources, remove legal hurdles to their participation in public life, and raise social awareness through effective programs of education and mass communication. Countries should act to empower women by establishing mechanisms for their equal participation and equitable representation at all levels of the political process and public life in each community and in the wider society. We should all endeavor to promote the fulfillment of women's potential through education and skills development. By every means necessary, we must eliminate all practices of discrimination against women. Our youth today are dynamic, determined, and more globalized than ever before. They are, however, sadly, also the perpetrators and victims of most violent crime. In our efforts to promote peace building, conflict prevention, and sustained peace among our youth, we must recognize their strengths and support them as our leaders of today and tomorrow. Some say our youth are our future. I, however, continue to insist that they are our present. We must include them in our decision-making process. Our partnership with them must be based on shared initiative and responsibility. The government, the community, all of civil society must contribute to this endeavor. The active engagement of youths in our efforts to achieve peace and security is essential to a stable society. Meaningful youth inclusion involves the empowerment of grassroots youth organizations, clubs, and movements. Our policy development and implementation must be reflective of their aspirations. Our decision-making should be responsive, inclusive, and participatory at all times. We should continue to put a premium on creating opportunities, such as this workshop, for young people to come together, build long-term relationships, and engage the policymakers. We must also create economic opportunities for our youth to combat the scourge of youth unemployment and underemployment. To this end, the Nevis Island Administration shall shortly launch a $5 million revolving loan fund, offering loans at nominal interest rates to a maximum of $100,000, geared specifically to women and to men under the age of 35 years. Let me be clear. Women of any age, men under the age of 35. To provide seed capital for small and micro business startups. This fund will target the two groups most in need of economic empowerment and allow them the opportunity to own and operate their own businesses. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, permit me a moment to commend and congratulate the organizers of this significant conference. My colleague, the Honorable Minister Hazel Brandy, and her team at the Ministry of Health and Gender Affairs have done a tremendous job as being the local focal point in organizing this event. Our only female minister in the Nevis Island Administration continues to show by her stellar performance why women in leadership are so important. I must also thank the representatives from the Commonwealth Secretariat, along with other international and regional delegates for gracing us with their presence. This intervention here in Nevis is timely, and I commend the Commonwealth and our dear Secretary General for the continued strong support for the interests and needs of small states. To all the participants, I trust that you will find the next 2 days of deliberation both fulfilling and rewarding, and you will depart this engagement eager and willing to implement the knowledge gained. This conference creates a unique opportunity for St. Kitts and Nevis to develop a model for peace and security, and the role of women and youth in that thrust for other nations in the Caribbean and internationally. As we leave this place 2 days hence, we must ensure we can build on this critical meeting and identify sustainable ways forward for the ideas generated here. I end by publicly thanking the Government of India for the Commonwealth window of the India UN Fund. This window of opportunity for Commonwealth countries will allow us to benefit from needed South-South best practice and expertise. St. Kitts and Nevis will be very interested to see how a project of this nature, using a framework of community dialogue, could possibly benefit from this facility sponsored by the Indian government in the interest of the people of the Commonwealth. I wish this important 2-day dialogue every success and wish you God's blessings and wisdom, that together we can find a pathway to greater peace and security for all. Thank you, and God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as our Premier emphasized, our Premier and Minister of Foreign Affairs emphasized the importance of South-South cooperation, we acknowledge and we are deeply grateful for the regional delegates who are gathered here today from across the OACS region. Please give them a round of applause. And as we work and dialogue over the next 2 days, we all indeed pledge to hold our leaders to their word, to place the building of social infrastructure and the empowerment of women and youth at the top of the agenda as we work to establish peace and security across the Caribbean. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very honored by the presence of the Honorable Senator Wendy Phipps, Minister of State in the Ministry of Health, Community Development, Gender Affairs, and Social Services in the federal government. Please put your hands together to welcome her as she delivers remarks.
Thank you, Mademoiselle Chair. Good morning, everyone. I know that protocol has been established and re-established in abbreviated format by successive speakers, but I would hasten to add to my own acknowledgement of the persons gathered here. Her Honor, Ms. Hailita Liebert, Senior Minister in the Federal Government, the Honorable Vance Emery, Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, and also Minister of Foreign Affairs, the other members of the head table, and members of the NIA Cabinet. I am indeed honored to be here this morning, but at the outset, let me first set the stage by offering official apologies on behalf of the Honorable Prime Minister, who should have been delivering these remarks this morning. Unfortunately, the Honorable Prime Minister is detained at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank relative to the regular convening of the Monetary Council. So he sends his regrets. The speech I'm about to make would be his speech exactly as it was prepared, essentially. He says, "It is my distinct honor to deliver opening remarks at this regional stakeholder dialogue and consensus building workshop focused on women and youth in peace and security using the South-South approach. The South-South approach, or South-South cooperation, refers to the technical cooperation among developing countries in the global South. This consultation is being held at a time when security has never featured more prominently on our regional developmental agenda. Earlier this year, in my address to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis on the issue of crime and violence, I said that my Team Unity administration is committed to the peace and stability of our federation. The Team Unity government is committed to a holistic approach to crime reduction, and we will work with every entity that genuinely offers to help and is striving to make St. Kitts and Nevis a country where peace abounds. I therefore commend Minister of Health and Gender Affairs, the Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, and the Ministry of Health and Gender Affairs in the Nevis Island Administration for hosting this very important consultation, which has brought a wide cross-section of females and youth together from across the OECS community. Community dialogue with young people and women who hold such a valuable and influential place in our society is necessary to ensure that we do not rely solely on punitive justice to achieve peace, stability, and well-being in our country. Community dialogue is an interactive, participatory communication process of sharing information among people or groups of people aimed at reaching a common understanding and workable solution. Unlike debate, dialogue emphasizes listening in order to deepen understanding. Women and youth are critical stakeholders who can play an essential role in positioning our small island developing state to constructively tackle the issues of crime and violence. The significance of our women and youth in ensuring peace and stable societies cannot be overstated, as young people 35 years and under make up the vast majority of the subregion's population, as well as the majority of the population in most developing states. In developing countries, women also head a significant share of households, and the OECS subregion is no exception. And I should add here that the last St. Kitts Nevis population and housing census in 2011 had the total number of women-headed households at 43.1%. I should also add that the single household registry, which is vested in the Department of Gender Affairs and Community Development in St. Kitts, has pegged the number of female-headed households well above 50%. Our respective countries can therefore learn a lot from each other and build capacity by sharing local experiences and forging new partnerships aimed at empowering young people and women. Engaging in South-South cooperation is essential to unleashing the full potential of young people and women and advancing their participation in civic and political life. The paradox is that although women and young people have strength in numbers, at the same time they face disproportionate economic, political, and social barriers to advancement around the world. Empowering marginalized young people and women through partnerships that promote innovation and technology, along with sustainable development, poverty reduction, and employment creation is therefore critical, and this can be achieved with the successful implementation of the South-South principles in our respective countries. Today's stakeholder dialogue and consensus building workshop is therefore a blue ribbon moment for women's rights and youth rights. This consultation, which has been funded by the Commonwealth Secretariat in an effort to assist in capacity building at the regional level, is also a blue ribbon moment for the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which address several areas of concern for women and youth, such as quality education, goal number 4, gender equality, goal number 5, and peace, justice, and strong institutions, goal number 16. I wish to thank the Commonwealth Secretariat, and in particular, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland QC, for leveraging the weight of her good offices towards the needs of St. Kitts and Nevis. This intervention to assist our country and the sub-region as a whole is timely and very much appreciated, and St. Kitts and Nevis is grateful for the Commonwealth's continued focus on the particular needs of small states. Over the course of the next 2 days, stakeholders representing civil society, the public sector, academia, and the private industries will share their knowledge, expertise, and skills. It is also expected that there will be discussions on successful initiatives that are fostering peace and security in stakeholders' home countries with the active participation and/or the direct focus on youth and women. This South-South Learning and Networking Forum thus presents us here in St. Kitts and Nevis with the opportunity to share our experiences and successes with a number of initiatives. These include the mobilization of technology and innovation to facilitate socio-economic transformation and improve governance in an effort to enable the development of a more inclusive, just, and peaceful society. We are committed to building on our stellar performance as one of the most just and inclusive countries in the world. Our ranking in the rule of law is the best in the OECS, second in CARICOM, and we are among the 30 best performing countries on the World Justice Project Rule of Law Index 2019. One of our successful initiatives is the Domestic and Sexual Violence Complaints and Response Protocol, a game changer in terms of its impact on survivors and their families. It was introduced last year in St. Kitts and Nevis to bolster the social infrastructure that supports individuals when acts of violence take place. The Complaints and Response Protocol, funded by UN Women and the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, educates stakeholders in child care, criminal justice, education, healthcare, and social support sectors on best practices to follow in response to reported cases of domestic and sexual violence. It is also a repository of information on key agencies in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis that provide services for survivors and complainants of domestic and sexual violence. We are also proud that St. Kitts and Nevis, the smallest independent country in the Western Hemisphere, has witnessed tremendous advances in information and communications technology, ICT development, under the Team Unity administration. In the ICT Development Index for the year 2017, St. Kitts and Nevis ranked 37 out of 176 countries, the highest ranking country in the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. Our remarkable performance speaks to the fact that my administration has taken a keen interest in modernizing the government's technology infrastructure. Just recently, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis launched a digital transformation survey, which closed earlier this month. The goal of the survey was intended to get feedback from citizens and residents on how government can serve them better by making information more accessible to them. To this end, we are looking at introducing digital self-serve technologies that are available around the clock. These new technologies will complement our e-government initiatives, including those that further peace and security, such as the Crimes Reporter app that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis unveiled on February 15, 2017, in partnership with Open Interactive, a local information technology solutions company. This Crime Reporter application enables anyone with a smartphone to make an anonymous report on a crime. My administration has also been focused on establishing key technology and other partnerships through North-South cooperation, as it is widely acknowledged that South-South cooperation is not intended to replace North-South cooperation, which is a vital means of support for developing countries. For instance, my administration has been in discussions with top executives from Amazon's cloud computing arm, Amazon Web Services, concerning cybersecurity in the public sector, innovation in disaster preparedness, and the role of ICTs in education and healthcare delivery. We have also adopted and adapted the Teen and Police Service TAPS Academy, a program that started in the USA with the aim of reducing social distance between teenagers and law enforcement. To this end, several police constables have been assigned to secondary schools in both St. Kitts and Nevis, where they serve as full-time school resource officers. As part of the TAPS Academy, interactive sessions with students and police address crime prevention. Also, as part of TAPS, several residents of Her Majesty's Prison are invited into high schools to speak to students about why it is important to stay away from gangs and avoid entering into the prison system. We are very proud of a youth social intervention program that has originated right here in St. Kitts and Nevis through the Ministry of National Security. So far, there are 7 community-based explorers youth clubs from Keon, Lodge, Molyneux Phillips, Shadwell, St. Paul's, St. Peter's, and Old Road, which are ably promoting character development and positive behaviors in our young people. Just this past Easter, 6 Explorers Club came together for a march and rally throughout Bastia. Their mission was to promote love instead of crime. And yesterday, I was honored to attend the groundbreaking ceremony for the Explorers headquarters in Phillips's St. Kitts. I am happy to report that the newest Explorers Club was launched just this past Sunday in Old Road with over 100 young people between the ages of 4 to 16. Our Explorers movement serves as a model for the OECS community on how to implement an effective crime reduction and prevention strategy that engages young people, their communities, and families. We therefore look forward to sharing this best practice in the furtherance of South-South cooperation. In order to fulfill the Sustainable Development Goals by the year 2030, we also welcome engaging in triangular cooperation, whereby traditional donor countries and multilateral organizations facilitate South-South initiatives through funding, training, and other forms of support, such as what the Commonwealth Secretariat is doing by funding this 2-day consultation. I am pleased that over the next 2 days, experts from across the Caribbean and elsewhere in the Commonwealth will enrich this regional consultative forum as they discuss numerous examples of best practices that exist with our neighbors here in the region and further afield. It will be essential to ensure sustainability for the creative ideas that will be of benefit to St. Kitts and Nevis and other countries represented here. I want to take this moment to publicly thank the Government of India for opening a window of opportunity for Commonwealth countries to benefit from well-needed South-South best practice and expertise. In partnership with the Commonwealth Secretariat, my government hopes to begin conversations with India on accessing the Commonwealth window of the India UN Fund to take forward some of the recommendations of this forum so that they can assist in implementing a sustainable community dialogue program for peace and stability in St. Kitts and Nevis. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to declare this worthwhile stakeholder dialogue and consensus building workshop officially open. May it build capacity and strong intra-regional networks so that we can involve women and young people more fully in the design and implementation of our development strategies, including those that relate to the enhancement of peace and security. Thank you for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are grateful to the Honorable Senator Wendy Phipps, who brought remarks on behalf of our Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Timothy Harris. You have heard from some of our key stakeholders and players, setting the context as we examine women and youth participation in community dialogue. And together over the next 2 days, collaborate on a South-South approach for peace and security here in St. Kitts and Nevis and across the wider Caribbean. We have 2 days ahead of us, and our dialogue, discussions, and work will now begin. I would like to invite you at this point to step outside and with a breathtaking backdrop, gather for a group photo. Thank you. I'm sorry, poolside.